So today we're going to be talking about the Hispanic voters, especially in South Florida, and just kind of digging deeper into why or how they influenced this election. I think we saw a lot more Republican support than maybe some people expected.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think worked so well for Republicans that really resonated with the Hispanic community, especially in parts of Florida like South Florida?
Sure. Well, the clear answer is a very focused directive on the Hispanic community that honestly started back in 2014. So this preceded even President Trump. I was a part of that team in 2014 that worked for the Republican Party at a national level. And they had political operatives, even in the off season, working, doing outreach in the Hispanic community, building these coalitions of encouraging those who were already conservative to kind of come out from the shadows, if you will, because much like in other minority communities, it's somewhat taboo to be labeled as a conservative or a Republican. And so this is a process that has been in place for now 6 years. Once President Trump got elected, many of the people on the kind of upper tier of these efforts moved into the White House, and then from the people that were at the ground level, those folks moved up into leadership positions in states across the country. And so this has been a concerted effort now for at least 6 years that, again, preceded President Trump and is now starting to see the fruits of its labor. And I think a big part of that has been an education process, not only by the Republican Party to the Hispanic community, but even vice versa. The Hispanic community has educated the Republican Party on the diversity of the politics from the countries they came from. And that's incredibly important to understand, because depending on what country you come from is going to determine your political philosophies and policies. And so we even saw the Trump campaign in advertisements throughout Florida, and especially South Florida, tie American politics to South American political figures. Case in point being a former candidate in Colombia, Gustavo Petro, who is very left-wing, very progressive. And so they tied Joe Biden to that particular candidate in messaging directly to Venezuelans, Colombians, mostly South Americans that understood what that connection made. And I think it was powerful. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I think across the country, he outperformed among the Hispanic community. But again, this is something that's been years in the making, not just a 2020 campaign anomaly.
What do you think contributed to, because I know in looking at the numbers, there was more or less Democratic support in the South Florida area, or Miami-Dade County specifically, compared to 2016. What do you think maybe converted some of that group that really made a difference in those numbers this time around?
Well, I think there was a lack of excitement for Vice President Biden, or now, President-elect Biden. I think there was a lack of excitement for his campaign overall. It's much like a reversal of 2016. Many Republicans came out for Donald Trump, not because they wanted to elect Donald Trump, but because they didn't want to elect Hillary Clinton. And I think they reversed the script on that, and they turned this rejection of Donald Trump's policies, his personality, his management, against him as a call to action for people to get out and vote. And again, that doesn't motivate everybody. And certainly in a community like South Florida, it's a cultural thing. Your parents have a very big influence on the decisions you make. And I think that maybe, had a lot to say for, when you saw the rallies and the caravans and the boat parades. I think that diffused a lot of that momentum for the Biden campaign throughout Florida. And so I think they maybe were overwhelmed by it. Because I certainly wasn't expecting an underperformance to that extent here in Florida by the Biden campaign, but that's exactly what happened.
And in looking ahead, the next 4 years, you mentioned this has been years in the making. With the conservative outreach to Hispanic voters, is this something that will, you think, continue and possibly keep those numbers kind of where they are now?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt there's momentum there. We continue, and now it's even more so important because demographically, just the country is changing at such a rapid pace. Certainly here in Florida, we continue to see a huge influx of people throughout Latin America, and it behooves both parties really to make this concerted effort. But I do think that the Republicans, certainly where they had the most ground to gain, have made that focused effort, and it's starting to pay off. And Democrats continue to treat the Hispanic vote as a monolithic vote. And AOC, came out and said that very thing. And if they continue to put the entire Hispanic community into one box, they're going to continue to lose the vote because, again, culturally, the Latin community is incredibly diverse, and your political policies and the reasons for coming here, depending on what country you're from, are going to be vastly different from country to country. And if they don't catch up to that really quick, it could again continue to snowball against them and in favor of Republicans for elections to come.
Right. Anything else that I didn't ask that you think is important to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, the big picture from this entire election, as we were speaking before we got started with the interview, but the big picture of this election overall has been how divided we truly are. I mean, we're looking at a 51-49 election nationally, and I think that has to be dissected. I think here in Florida, the fact that Florida continues to go further red. They picked up 5 House seats, 1 state Senate seat. And again, the numbers in South Florida, I think they need to certainly capitalize on that. Unseating a congresswoman in South Florida, I think that's a huge win for Republicans. And so it's going to be interesting to see, whereas some people are saying that Texas continues to start to trend more blue, Florida seems to be trending more red, and so that's going to have a huge impact on elections down the road.